I'm Maggie. Welcome to Experiments in Crafting. Tonight I've got a bunch of yarn to show you guys. Some of it is from a company called the Birlinn Yarn Company from the Outer Hebrides, Scotland in the UK. And then some of it is from Hobby Lobby right down the street for me. I've got both of those to show you, and we'll get into those in just a few minutes. I kind of wanted to give you guys a little bit of a backstory on how I ended up finding this yarn. I'm a big fan of the show Call the Midwife, and I was watching it recently, and they released a new season on Netflix, and so I started watching that. And the Christmas special, they traveled to the Outer Hebrides of Scotland, and we're working with them and whatnot. And so there's a portion in there where they're uh working with the tweed and stuff, and so I kind of started looking around and trying to find a yarn vendor out of there just for fun, and I found a vendor and I got my yarn, and so I've got that to share with you tonight. A handful of people, Maggie, Jane, and Stephanie, all saying hello. Welcome. Thank you for joining me. And thank you to anybody who's not commenting. Thank you for joining me as well. Um, and then the stuff from Hobby Lobby. Stephanie had messaged me about some of the new like hand dyed yarns from Yarnbee, and so I picked a couple of those up as well as some other new things that they had, and so I'm gonna show those off. So I'm gonna start with the stuff from the Birlinn Yarn Company. So I guess we'll start yarn, and then I will go with the bag that I bought. So these are the Storm Gray yarn. Look like this. These are non-superwash yarns. So that means they still have the scale on the wool fibers. Let's see. They are 50 grams or 175 meters. They're from Hebrides and Cheviot wool. It says knit as 4-ply on a 3.5 millimeter needle, so I would use probably a similarly sized crochet hook. Hand wash with care, 100% wool, and the name of this color is Storm Gray. So they're pretty nice feeling wool. I've felt a handful of different non-superwash, so almost everything I use is superwash merino. It's very, very nice feeling wool. This is coarser and a little bit rougher, as I would have expected, but it's actually pretty soft. The Storm Gray and a couple of the other colors are not dyed. So this is a mix of a naturally black and a naturally white yarn. They have one that's I think a darker gray that's just more black than white, and then they have a black and a white, all in the not dyed category. And then I also picked up one of the dyed ones, and this one is all of the same specs, except that this is the color Reef. So same company, and Birlinn in this case, if you're looking around or you want to find them, is Birlinn. And it says from Seafaring Sheep. So I've looked a little bit at the Outer Hebrides. They're island chains on the north coast of the UK, sort of out a little bit from Inverness. And Inverness is right. And so just looked around a little bit. It's lots and lots of little island chains. I don't remember how many islands there are, but it was a lot. And they're kind of a little bit remote and a little bit disconnected from the mainland, and they get around a lot by boat, and that includes moving the sheep from different grazing sites on separate islands. And so I guess the seafaring sheep come from the sheep needing to be put on boats to move from different grazing locations. And so anyway, I thought it was cool, and so I picked up a little bit of the wool. It was not real cheap. It the price was pretty reasonable for each of the balls, but because it was a conversion from pounds, and then international shipping and whatnot. It got a little pricey, but I am pretty pleased with the yarn that I got, especially sight unseen. Didn't really have any reviews on the company or anything. Um, like personal reviews. I looked around and, saw that they were a legit company, before just randomly ordering. But um, anyway, I'm not totally sure what I'm gonna make with this. Whatever it is, it's gonna be very warm. I'm thinking I probably will try and find something where I can blend these nicely. So maybe a cowl, maybe a pair of fingerless gloves, something like that, where I can do some mosaic work. But that's where I'm at, or that's this yarn. Um, and then in addition to the yarn, I also bought one of the tweed bags. I'm trying to remember what they call this. Harris tweed, I think. Yeah, so Harris tweed, Outer Hebrides of Scotland, 100% new wool. And then the liner of the bag is linen. So this is woven there, and it's a particular tweed known, like the area is known for. It feels very much like um, sort of what I think people think wool always feels like. So it's a little bit scratchy, a little bit coarse. I can feel like the prickly parts. But it is absolutely beautiful. I really like the color that I chose. I'm not sure if the tweed pattern is showing up well on camera, but it's got kind of like a chevron look to it. There were, I think, 4 different options. I really like the blue that I chose, though there was a very, very pretty yellow that I almost bought, and I think it had a blue check inside. I may be tempted to order that anyway. And the linen inside feels very nice. You can tell that it's very nice quality. I like the gray and sort of natural linen colors in here. So, and again, Birlinn Yarn Company. So, I'm pretty happy with my purchase. I will see how the wool crochets up. It's going to be interesting because it is not superwash wool, which means it can felt. It'll be a little bit harder to frog. It'll be a little bit harder to wash and block. You got to be a little bit more careful. So I'll see how it goes and report back to you guys. Looks like Copper Pot is also joining us. Welcome as well. And Stephanie said she's looking forward to hearing my thoughts, and I'm looking forward to working with it. It seems like it's fun. I kind of enjoyed just like the whole process of sort of seeking out a yarn from another country and learning a little bit about the sheep and a little bit about the um area. And I don't know, it might be something I kind of do again, kind of look around for another country that does has some weird sheep, or um sort of a weird history of, or like a long history of something interesting. So like in this case, the Harris tweed is a big deal there. The sheep and the sheep raising there is pretty much, it seems like, all that happens there. There's some farming and some sheep, and it doesn't seem like a whole lot else happens out on the islands because they're pretty remote. They're not any big cities or anything like that, as far as I could tell. Um, but yeah, so anyway, that's the Birlinn Yarn Company and the yarn that I got there, and I'll let you know how that works up and works out. Put these guys aside. All right. So like I said, I went after the authentic hand-dyed tonal yarns. Actually, I went after some black duck cloth and ended up in the yarn aisle for obvious reasons, because I always end up in the yarn aisle. But I came across the authentic hand-dyed yarns that Stephanie had mentioned on stream and then in a message to me. So this is authentic hand-dyed tonal yarn in lavender dusk and chestnut ember, and they are very, very pretty. Nice dark, like purple sections, almost black in some areas, and then this is a really pretty coppery color. They are a number one super fine yarn, 100% superwash merino wool, 100 grams, 420 yards. They recommend a 2.75 millimeter knitting needle, or a 3.25 crochet hook, which is a USD hook, and hand wash, in warm water. Pretty standard. One of the things that I'm not in love with are these copper staples in the tag. I really don't like scratchy metal near my yarn, pretty much ever. I don't know why they didn't just glue this tag or something, but when this flips down, like in storage, it you can see it's pretty easy to have it catch on the back side there. Um, so because I store my yarn generally in the hanks that it comes in, I probably would pull these staples out and just leave this looped through the yarn. But I would not want to store. So this yarn was $14.99. Most of the time you can get, yeah, most of the time the yarn is 30% off, or a lot of the time the yarn is 30% off, which brings it down to $10, which is pretty good deal for hand dyed 100% merino yarn. But when I throw it into my bins to store it, it's going in alongside some rather expensive yarn, and I would be pretty upset if it got ruined on a stupid copper staple. So this is the type of thing that I'm really nitpicky about, but I would not. They're actually really rough staples too. Like, I don't know where they got these kind of decorative copper staples, but they're pretty aggressive. Um, they're not like just the little silver staples in uh like in a piece of paper. They're pretty sharp edged. So just one little side note, but otherwise the yarn looks very nice, feels very nice. It's hanked really tight, so it doesn't feel like it has much squish, but when I get out onto the edges, I can feel it's got a pretty nice hand feel to it. But like I said, it's hanked pretty tight here, which is not really a problem, but does make it feel less squishy and um, not really less soft, just less squishy. It feels a little bit more rigid. Feels like very nice merino. I'm very surprised that it's not. Sometimes when you get uh fancy fibers from a big box store, things like alpaca and merino, they're not very high quality, or they don't look particularly nice. Even like the Chic Sheep by Marley Bird that Red Heart did a while back felt like nice enough merino, but like they were very solid. Clearly, like they wanted you to sub them in for acrylics. There was no tonal variation or anything like that you normally see with like merino wool and like hand dyed yarn. So these do look like they're hand dyed. They claim to be hand dyed. They've got that kind of nice tonal quality. This one almost looks a bit more less tonal and more multicolored. So it actually looks like there's some black sections. I think they're just really, really dark purple if you get them out into the light. But in the copper sections, it goes to relatively dark brown, but not quite as dark as the dark parts of the purple. So tonal basically just means all of the same color, just variations of more and less color. And I think that's probably a pretty good description of these yarns. All right. The next yarn that I picked up were these super crazy bright colors. I guess this one's not crazy bright, but it's pretty bright. These are called Color Ideal, with Ideal spelled Idyll. in neon watermelon and frosty mint. These are also a #1 superfine yarn. They are 50% merino, 30% nylon, 20% acrylic. They're 100 grams, 415 yards. They recommend, again, a D hook, 3.25 millimeters, or a 2.75 millimeter US 2 knitting needle. And again, they're recommending hand wash, no dryer, no iron, no bleach, etc. So basically take care of it like sock yarns and wool yarns. These were cool just because they came in really obnoxious colors, pretty much exclusively. So they came in neon yellow and like highlighter green. I kind of was tempted to get most of them. I ended up only getting a couple of them because I wasn't really sure what exactly I wanted to do with them. But they feel like really nice, bright solids. And they feel like they could probably be a good option for somebody who wants to do projects that require 100-gram fingering weight balls of yarn, but either doesn't have access to getting some hand dyed stuff. Like right now, you can't go to a yarn fair, and a lot of people don't like to buy expensive yarns that they can't touch and feel and look at. Or whether it's just out of budget. These are $8.99 and 30% off. You're down to $6, and that's perfectly in a reasonable realm versus something 100 grams hand dyed normally can get you into the $26 to $30 range without a real challenge. So I wanted to give these a try and just see how they looked. This is a favorite color of my sister's, so I was going to see what I could come up with. She really likes the neon peach and neon, like, coral type colors, so I was going to see what I could come up with. And then this bright mint color I thought would make really nice fingerless gloves or something like that. So, see what happens. The neon watermelon definitely has enough color variation for me. The frosty mint does not have very much color variation. So if you look, there's a little bit of lighter and darker spots, but for working up something like a shawl, I would probably work up something on the lacy side with these. I tend not to like super, super solid color shawls. Some people love them. They're just not for me. So at least personally, I probably won't work up something very solid with this. Follow-up question about the hand-dyed yarn. It's 100 grams, 420 yards, or 385 meters. And then on these non-hand-dyed but still fingering weight yarns, they're 415 yards or 380 meters. So there's those. The next thing that I grabbed was this Yarn Bee Cotton DK. A long time ago, I unboxed or unbagged the Yarn Bee Cotton XXL, and it's a super, super heavy cotton yarn, and I have yet to work with it, but I've struggled a little bit to figure out what exactly I'm going to do with it. My original thought was like maybe I would make washcloths or something like that, but it's really, really heavy, and that much cotton does take a while to dry, and it usually will be pretty absorbent, but if you use them as a washcloth and then you leave the washcloth to dry out, it can take a while, and then you end up with like kind of mildewy smelling washcloths. And so I haven't really worked with it, but I saw these and I thought that they would make a really cool textured hand towel. So I was going to try doing buffalo plaid on my loom. I've got a project on my loom that I started, and the yarn is really stretchy, and I don't really care for the project, and I don't really know what I want to do about it. But I'm leaning towards I might just cut it off. I did see recently a video of somebody taking an entire project off of a warp and just storing it. And I thought about it, and I'm not totally sold that I'll ever do anything with it again, because the thought of rewarping the the project seems daunting and kind of terrible. The other option is I could just finish it, and get it off my loom and then start this up. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna do, but I haven't done any weaving because the project was bothering me. It I started out with a probably overly ambitious plaid, and I didn't consider that single yarn color changes are kind of a nightmare on a heavy yarn. So I think what I did was 3 yarns, 1 yarn, 3 yarns, 1 yarn type of plaid. But when you do the weft on the weave, so that's my warp, my weft I wanted to be the same. And so it's 3 yarns and 1 yarn, and that 1 yarn you put 1 row in, and then you have to do a color change, and you end up with really bulky edges. And for those of you who are not weavers, it might not make a ton of sense right now, but I'm not totally sure what I want to do about it. The other problem is the yarn is really stretchy and it's kind of difficult to weave with. So I think I just chose poorly. I'm a pretty novice weaver, so we'll have to see. But I am kind of excited to give this a try. I thought this would make kind of cool texture in some sort of like hand cloths or possibly even like placemats, something like that. But I wanted to do buffalo plaid, which is um, the same as this here. So it's what I would maybe call gingham, but it's a dark color and a light color, and then you have 2 spots that are crossovers of the dark and the light. So that's sort of my goal with this. I was gonna make a very similar plaid. All right. Looks like I've got a couple of questions, or maybe just comments. Anna used the XXL to make a winter hat. It was a Hobby Lobby pattern for the yarn. She was skeptical that it would work, but it turned out pretty well. It does break easily in her experience. Tried to tie it on with a pom pom and just broke in half. All right, that's good. That's good to know because for weaving, you have to leave the yarn under tension, and if it breaks when you pull on it, it's not going to be good. So this is 100% cotton, but I kind of thought it was wrapped, and I was hoping that I could weave with it. But if I can't, then I might have to just crochet. Roughly, I can still sort of do the same plaid, but let's see. So it did take quite a bit of effort there to break that. That's usually what they tell you to do is pull really rapidly and try and get a good feel for the yarn. But really what I want to do is hold it under tension and see if it starts to separate. And it is not. So whatever they did differently, yeah, it looks like there's a cotton thread wrapped around. So there's these light fluffy spots that I can just pick all the fibers apart. But if I pull enough of this fiber out of here, I get down to this guy right here. And this is the thread that they've got wrapped around the cotton here. And I would be willing to bet money that there is no way on this planet that this is cotton. Yeah, this is definitely not cotton. So it is labeled 100% cotton. I will guarantee that this is not cotton. Not with this kind of stretch. I should not be able to pull cotton. There's no way this is cotton. So it might be 100% by weight, but it's actually like 99% rounded up. So that thread wrapped around there, no way, no how is that cotton. It's super shiny and super stretchy and really, really slippery. I can prove it if I have a lighter down here. I'll just melt it. I don't. Trying to pick that thread back out. Here it is, right here. There is normally one over there, but I don't know if it's over there or not. A little excessive. Anyway, I don't have a lighter down here, so I can't melt this, but I don't believe that this is natural fiber at all. So what you can do if you want to test something is light it on fire. And if it melts, it's plastic, and if it burns, it's natural fiber. And if it smells like burnt hair, it is animal protein. Oh yeah. I'll do that one more time on the other camera, but yep. Give it. I don't even need to get it all the way on fire. Definitely not. Yeah, definitely plastic. So, for anybody hoping that it was actually 100% natural fibers, it is definitely not. But it does mean that it will warp well, because that nylon, I was going to light the natural part of the fiber, and see, that burns. Oh, shit. All right, I'm going to start some stuff on fire. I thought I could just blow it out, but that smells like, well, it didn't burn as well as I would have hoped, actually. It's interesting. I don't think there's any way that this is 100% cotton either. It got pretty hard and crusty. This feels melted. I'm going to see what I've got to contain a fire here. Not much. I was looking for like a little dish, like a ceramic bowl or something. I was going to pull some more fiber out. Yeah, I think so. That'll do. I was going to pull a little bit more out, but this time I was going to prepare by putting it in a little dish. Yeah, I'll tip it. Now I'm annoyed because this is definitely not all. So I'm going to tip it this way. So it went up really fast. It probably is natural fibers. I think I probably got some more of the thread in there, but it burned very rapidly just to ash. So doesn't smell like burning hair. It kind of smells like burnt marshmallows. Probably plant material. But the thread is definitely not. So if you look at this like bunched up shape here, we'll switch cameras here. So if you look at that little bunched up shape, it's a whole bunch of like very, very loosely spun fibers kind of held together with a thread. And if you look at the label, it says it's 100% cotton. But as I just showed a minute or two ago, the thread that's in there, this shiny little thread right here, definitely not cotton. Melts like plastic, stretches like plastic, is plastic. So I think the first thing that when I lit the cotton in my hands, I think there was probably a little bit of the thread in there that caused a little melty part. And I don't think I've damaged my yarn too badly over here, even though I semi-lit it on fire as well. I'll do a better job next time. So, tried to blow the fire out and blew the little fiber, and it happens. This is why I stay in a lab if I can help it, and work in a hood instead of lighting things on fire in my basement. So, all right. Helen said she's late. She didn't know what time I started. We do our best to try and start at 8 Central Time. I think we were running a little late tonight, but hopefully YouTube has gotten better about sending out notifications when we go live, and so hopefully people are getting them. In order to get the best possible chance of getting notifications, you should click the little bell and make sure the right next to it there's an option for personalized or all notifications. I should be careful though. If you already are subscribed and you click the bell again, you'll unsubscribe. So if you've already done that once before, don't do it again unless you want to unsubscribe. Which hopefully nobody wants to unsubscribe. Anna says this is the experiments part of experiments in crafting. This is it's definitely the experiments portion of this. This is a little bit of what I kind of hoped I would be able to do some of on here. We tried pretty hard to do experiments with the what was that called? Heat wave yarn from Red Heart last year, and we spent a long time looking at it under microscope and trying to get a better understanding, and really couldn't get a great yeah, we really couldn't get some good results for you guys. And then I've wanted to try a couple of other things, showing some stuff with cotton and whatnot. But anyway, lighting fibers on fire to see what their content is, or verifying what their content is a little bit of experimentation. Stephanie also loves the experimentation. Joyce also does. Anna says, please make this a regular part, setting this week's yarn on fire. If I get some sort of better system down, I will. But when I just blow the fire across the table, that's not probably a great idea for long-term use. Let's see. Stephanie says she never gets the notifications, but gets them from Instagram, even though she has all turned on. Unfortunately, that's YouTube being YouTube. I don't really know how to get it to do anything more than that. If you've got it set to all, it just seems very inconsistent about letting people know about anything. But I am glad that you're getting the notifications from Instagram. But we are trying at least to stream every Thursday at 8 p.m. Central Time. So, and it's 8 p.m. give or take about 15 minutes or so. Moving forward, I've got a couple more yarns here. This is the Arabella metallic yarn. So a while back I showed the Arabella yarn. Looks just like this, except that it does not have this metallic thread, wrapped around it. This yarn is 50% acrylic, 49% cotton, and 1% metallic polyester. And this is a little bit why I'm frustrated about this yarn over here. There's no reason that this one couldn't be labeled 100% cotton with nylon thread. Even if it was technically less than 1% by weight. I know they don't have to tell you. but I kind of feel like they should tell you. Because in this yarn here, they're identifying it's 50% acrylic, 49% cotton, and 1% metallic polyester. I kind of feel like it has to be more than 1% by weight for that nylon thread. It's mostly what's holding that yarn together. So, anyway, I'm a little bit annoyed about the cotton over there, even though it'll still do the job that I need it to do. This yarn here is a little bit more clear. This is a number 5 bulky weight yarn. It's a 100-gram ball, 112 yards or 102 meters. And I thought it was really pretty colors. There's a pretty nice dark purple in there, light purple, fades out to a coral. There's some medium blue and dark blue. And then if I kind of peel it back the layers here, there's also a really nice yellow, some like mauve and light purple, and looks like there's some solid white sections. There's a lot of colors going on here. This is another ball of the same color, just kind of a different portion of it. Yellow, white. I really like this blue here. It's a nice blue. I think that's all the colors, but it's a nice sort of like unicorny rainbow. And I think it's called unicorn something. It's just called unicorn. So, this is, like I said, Arabella Metallic. I just thought it was pretty yarn. I've got a couple of the Arabella balls, again, that I have not yet worked with. But looked like nice yarn. And then the last one that I picked up was this Wrapology Hues. This was an interesting looking yarn. It is 90% cotton, 10% polyester. And it's kind of cool looking. It's all just sort of natural cotton colored yarn. But there is a polyester thread probably wrapped around the outside, and it's got these like little sections that are wrapped. So it's all right. Let me be more specific here. Let me pull some out of the center here. So as you're going along, it's just one single wrap around the edge, wrap. And then there's like a chunk here that has quite a lot of wrapping in a really tight space. Let me see if I can reposition so that it's a little bit clearer what I'm talking about. Yep. So the whole way down the yarn, it's just one single thread wrapped all the way around, but then there's sections where it's really tight. And so you get like a little pop of color. So there's like a little orange pop, another orange one. Here's a green one kind of stuck in there. But what it gives the entire ball is sort of like a speckled look. So it's just changing how thick or thin the wraps are. Well, how tightly or loosely wound the wraps are, I guess, is a better, or the smaller and larger spacing. I don't really know how you want to describe it, but it looks pretty cool and speckly. So I got one that has sort of some jewel tones or fall tones. It's called Passion Flower, but it's yellow and orange and teal and purple are the primary colors in there. It looks like there's also some light green as well here and there. So again, this one's called Wrapology Hues in Passion Flower, and it is a 200-gram ball. It's 528 yards or 480 meters, and they're calling it a number 2 fine weight yarn. I think that you could probably comfortably sub this in for some of the well, there's other Wrapology yarns or Rhapsody yarns. I'm trying to remember. But I think you could also substitute it in for some of the stranded cotton, even though this is not stranded. If you saw a pattern that you liked for, say, what is the name of that yarn? Red Heart, Roll. It's it's a wrap rainbow. That's what it was called. The red heart, it's a wrap rainbow. I think this would substitute in pretty well. It won't be a gradient, but it's roughly the same yarn weight, same size ball of yarn, and I think it would probably fit in pretty well. This is another one that I may try and weave something with because I think that like all the little speckles will like interlock really cool. I don't know why, but when I was shopping, I was in sort of a weaving mindset. So that was some of what I bought this stuff for. This stuff's probably destined to be like scarf or cowl for a kid. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the hand-dyed tonal yarn yet, but yeah. So that's what I've got or from the last couple of weeks here. Stephanie asked if I mentioned what I want to make with it, and I just did. Let's see. Dream Design Crochet says hi. Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us. I guess two other things that I can show you are some project updates. Let me clear some yarn out of the way, though I don't think it's on stream, but I'll get it out of my way. I have been working a little bit on the shawl, though made a bit of a mess of it here. Looks like my hook has been doing some tangling of my yarn here. So I've gotten a little bit of work in on this shawl. I don't have a whole lot left. There's about this much of the ball left. Maybe 15-ish grams. And then I'll have to block this shawl. But this is where I'm at with this. I think it's working up pretty nicely. So, anyway, there's the shawl. It's getting a little bit bigger along this edge, and it's really getting wide as far as a nice long length to wrap. So I think it'll make a pretty cool, like, wrap like this, or one of these deals. So I think it'll look pretty nice. Once it's blocked open, I think it's going to grow quite a bit. So this lace is pretty collapsed right now, but I think it'll open up quite a bit. So, and if you picture that much expansion all the way through, I think it'll get quite large. This is called the Tendrils Shawl. I am failing to remember the name of the designer, but I think we've linked to it a couple of times, and we'll probably throw a link in there again. The yarn is from Sock Obsession's yarn. Sock Obsession. Carmen who? Heffernan? What's the name of the, like, company or... okay. Does it have what? Yeah, it's got some solid sections. Yep, that's it. Sorry, my husband's showing me so that he can make sure that he puts the right link. Like I said, it's from Sock Obsession Yarns. I think it's called Hotter Cousin is the name of the colorway that I'm using. I did some unboxing on a number of yarns that I got from that dyer. But I really like the little speckles in this yarn here. You can't really see because I'm off screen a bit. But yeah, it has kind of a ice cream with sprinkles on it look right now. Let's see. Marquita's asking, what do I use for blocking? Usually, slightly warm water and a little bit of blocking soap. I'm not, well, I say I'm not super picky. I'm not super brand loyal on blocking soaps. I've used Soak. Soak did a really nice job for a really long time, though I absolutely hated the smell after a while. I bought it. I really liked the smell. It was like their yuzu scent. And then I really just didn't care for it after a while. But the soap worked really well and everything turned out very nicely. So I would definitely go back and use soak again. I probably would just get unscented soap. I've used unicorn fibers blocking soap. It was fine. I don't have anything overly positive or overly negative to say about it. It seemed to do the job. It had a really just blah scent about it. I think it was lightly scented, but the scent was pretty nondescript. And then the one that I'm using right now is Euclid in the grapefruit scent, and I actually really like that. It just leaves kind of the tiniest amount of like a citrusy scent at the end. It smells clean enough for one or two wears, and then the scent kind of just disappears, and it's seems to do the job quite well. I really like using no rinse soaps, which means it's a soap that you can put in, soak your stuff, press it out, and then lay it flat to dry, and you don't have to re-rinse a couple of times to get the soap out. So that's generally what I use. And then as far as like blocking supplies, I use mats from a hardware store. They're anti-fatigue mats. They come in like puzzle pieces and T-pins. So stainless steel T-pins that won't rust. But I get my blocking mats from Harbor Freight. They're like $8 for 4 2-foot by 2-foot mats. And so you end up with 16 square feet, which is enough to do pretty much any good size project. And I think they're in the ballpark of like $8 to $10, possibly cheaper when they're on sale or with a coupon. And so I've got a good sized section of my basement that's supposed to be tiled in them. We've never put them back down since we had a big flood, but yeah, I like having a lot of blocking space because what'll happen is I'll do a whole bunch of projects and then want to block them all in like one session. Let's see. Joyce is asking, what is the fiber makeup? I assume she means on this, though, not totally sure, but I will tell you what the fiber makeup on the sock obsessions yarns are. They're merino and often nylon, but let me double check. I think there's one that's 100% merino. This one is 75-25, so 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon. It's a 4-ply yarn. It's sock weight or fingering weight, which is number 1 weight, 100 grams, 463 yards. Stephanie says that the names crack her up. Yeah, a lot of yarn dyers are really into their names, and some of them get pretty crazy. Like I said, that one's called Hotter Cousin. So, Marquita's asking, when I block, what surface do I use? That's the blocking mats, and a lot of times I block right on the floor. I do know people will block sometimes on you can block on directly to the carpet. You can kind of put the pins into the carpet padding. You can also block onto, if you have a spare mattress, like if you have a spare bedroom with a mattress in it, you can pin right into the mattress. You will end up with a damp mattress because you usually block wet, but usually you squeeze most of the water out, and so the mattress will dry as well. Otherwise, you can just block kind of out on a towel without pins. You don't usually get as nice of a block, but you can at least smooth out the sort of wrinkles and whatnot. You just don't get to open the lace up quite as much. Marquita also says, I tried to find the bioluminescent sock obsession hank that you had, but I don't think the color is available anymore. What was the name of the color again? So I think I have bioluminescence, but I think the one that you might be talking about is called Curry On. So this one is called Curry On. It is sort of a gold coppery color with little bits of rainbow. Sock Obsession Yarns, I believe, is a one-person operation. She dyes yarns and then puts them up like color by color. She generally does her releases on Saturday mornings, or Saturday midday. And sometimes you don't know what color is going to come up, but her website doesn't show out of stock colors, which you can do two things. You can just show what's in stock, but I kind of like to know what exists and then just see that it's out of stock. But either way, it's sort of, up to the person who owns the store. But I think on her website, none of her out of stock stuff shows up. So might look like something doesn't exist. I know she just put some curry on up a week or two ago. The bioluminescence and the fairy witchcraft, which are very similar to these. They have these little bits of color. I don't know. I was waiting to see if Marquita responded, but I think I saw some comments on Instagram, which is why I thought she might be looking for this one. Yeah, this is the Curry On, from Sock Obsessions. Okay, so we put the link in for the Curry On. For bioluminescence, it's a really bright teal, and I'm going to look and see if I've got it. I kind of thought that it was right here. Not so much. Ah, I found it. All right. These are all the Sock Obsession yarns still over here from when I did the unboxing. This one is bioluminescence. So it's a teal yarn. It still has the same little rainbow sections, but it's got a teal base instead of this copper base. So this one's bioluminescence, and this is a DK weight. Sock Obsession Yarns does not have a whole lot of non-sock yarns, but this is one of them that's a DK. And I haven't decided what I want to do with this, but it's so cool. I like these little tiny rainbows. So, anyway, there's my whole pile of Sock Obsession. I need to re-hank all of these. This one's called Here Be Dragons. I really love this color. It is 600 yards, though, and I haven't decided a good project to do with that. Yeah, that's Here Be Dragons. This one's Snow Peas. This one's Don't Forget Your Broom. And this one is Milky Way. So, there's all those guys. All laid out. Anyway, let's see. Let's see. Stephanie loves the yarns and wishes there were more crochet projects on Ravelry. I guess I haven't really looked to see what crochet projects are available, like what crochet projects have used Sock Obsession yarns, but at least if there are knitting projects, you can get a feel for how they work up, unless, of course, they're all just sock patterns, in which case socks work up a little bit different because they're such tiny cylinders that some things that pool in socks don't really pool in other projects. Let's see. Marquita says she got the name wrong. Think you so much. So I think that the curry on was the one that she was after. And so that we got the link up there for. Diane says, hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Stephanie says, the tiny rainbows remind me. Do I remember which cowl pattern it was for the Rocket Man yarn? I don't think I looked that up. I wish I could remember what the name of that was. No, I think after we ended last week, I'll have my husband send me a message to look it up so that I remember once we end the stream. And the cowl pattern that I used for the Rocket Man yarn. I can't think of what it was, but it's a chain. It's lots and lots of chains, and then you build like these little single crochet diamonds, in each row. So, all right. Well, oh, I could show this as well. So this is the doll that I've been working on, and it's getting kind of closer and closer to being done. There's lots of chaos right now because there's tons and tons of ends that need to be sewn in here. And she's only got one eye, and she doesn't have a lot of the detailing in the top of her clothes, but she's getting close. And all of her hair stuff is all still wrong. Turn her so you can see her with her one eye. I think we're gonna make the eye just a little bit smaller, and so she's got kind of an anime look to her, and this hair bow obviously comes out and doesn't really go with her, but coming together. So I don't know. I've had a lot of fun trying to like match a character and like actually do the detailing on the clothes the best I can. So there's lots of like little details, like this is a striped bow on the actual character. And so I did my best to do the little stripes and the little detailing there. Um, Instead of just making it solid red. So I've had fun kind of just doing little detail work. But all right. If anyone has questions or anything like that, I'd be happy to answer those. Otherwise, I don't know that we'll stream too much longer. Being perfectly honest, it's been a long week at work, and I can already feel that I'm wearing out for the evening. But if you guys do have questions, I can chat a little bit longer. I'm trying to think what else I'm planning on working on. Yeah, I want to get this this shawl finished up, and then I don't know if I'll break into another one of the sock obsession yarns or if I'll try something different. I really do like this this multicolor here. I wonder, probably won't go with either of these tonals if I wanted to mix a semi-solid in there. They're kind of just a little bit off of the colors in there. But yeah. Well, I think we're probably going to wrap up for the evening. Thank you all for joining me tonight and going through some of the unboxings and whatnot, and laughing along with me while I almost lit some stuff on fire. And anyway, we generally, like I said, stream on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Central Time. I try and post on Instagram, Facebook, and on YouTube if we're going to cancel the stream. But I do my best to try and stream on Thursdays. I think I've been doing a little bit better on Thursdays than I was doing on Tuesdays. So with all that said, thank you all very much. Oh, looks like I missed one question here at the end. Have I ever sold at craft fairs or shopped at large yarn craft fairs? I have done a ton of shopping at large yarn craft fairs before, but I have not done any selling. Um, there are a couple of live streams on, well, not live streams, but video reviews of a couple of the yarn shows that I've gone shopping at on the channel. So if you want to check those out, they're called YarnCon and what else did we stream? An alpaca show as well. Um, oh, okay. The YarnCon is actually on a different channel, so you can check out those on my channel. But otherwise, everybody have a great rest of your week. Thank you very much for joining me. And again, if you need me sometime off stream, you have questions or you want to send me pictures or anything like that, you can find me at Experiments in Crafting on Facebook and Instagram. And those are also where I will post if we're not going to stream. It'll also be on the community section of YouTube. So have a great rest of your week, and thank you. Good night.